Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting tutorial. Thank you so much for joining in. If this is your very first time, please join the family by hitting the subscribe button, and if this is not your first time, welcome back and thank you so much for being a loyal subscriber. Without any further ado, let's get started. So for this basic block, I am going to be using the standard measurement of a size 10, and that is a UK size 10. So if you've got your own measurement, feel free to use that. But these are the important things that you need to take down. For the skirt block, you need your waist measurement, you need your hip measurement, you need your hip depth measurement, and that is the distance between the waist to the hip, and the length of your skirt measurement. So whatever length you choose is totally up to you. So like we always do, I've got my following tools here. Now, if you don't have everything I've got here, do not panic. As long as you've got any tool that will do the job, you are good to go. So do not panic if you don't have everything. With me here, I've got my straight ruler, I've got my hip curve ruler, my paper scissors, I've got my pencil, fabric scissors, I've got an eraser, my measuring tape, I've got my pattern paper, sewing pins, and my L square ruler, but you totally don't need this. So do with whatever you have. Now we need our pattern paper and our straight ruler. Make sure your pattern paper is wide enough for your pattern, both the front and the back of the basic block. Now that you have your pattern paper ready, what we need to do is to draw a horizontal line at the top of your pattern paper. And the measurement for that is half of your hips measurement plus 2 centimeters. Once you have your hip line drawn in, you number both ends as 1 and 2. Next, we draw a vertical line from point 1, and that is going to serve as our skirt length measurement. And at the end of the line, we mark that as point 3. Next, to get point 4, we draw a vertical line from point 2, which is the same measurement as your skirt length measurement. And at the end of the line, we mark that as point 4. So once that is done, we join both points, which is point 3 and 4, join that with a horizontal line, and this will serve as our hem line. Once you've drawn all the lines, the first stage of your pattern should look like a square. Next, we mark in point 5, and that will serve as our hip depth measurement. So I am going to measure from point 1, which is our waistline, 8 inches down, which is the distance between my waist and the hips. Once we've established the point, we are going to mark that as point 5 and go over to point 2, taking the same measurement, which is the distance between the waist and the hips, which mine is 8 inches. Mark that down. Once that is marked in, we join both lines together. And that will serve as our hip line. And starting from point 5, we mark a quarter of our hip measurement plus 2 centimeters. And that will be point 7. Now that we've marked in point 7, we are going to use that point to draw a vertical line from the waistline down to the hemline. And on the hemline, mark that as point 8. So now we have established the base of our front and back skirt. Next, we are going to mark in point 9, and that is a quarter of our waist measurement plus 4.25 centimeters. If you're using inches, that is 1.67 inches. From point 9, measure 1.25 centimeters, and that will be our point 10. Next, we join point 10 to point 1 using our curve ruler or our hip curve ruler. And also from point 10 to point 7, we are going to use our curve ruler as well to join both points. When joining your lines, you need to be very careful of the side seam line, especially from the hip point downwards. You need to make sure you curve it a little further in to avoid a sharp point at the side seam. Next, we need to mark in our dart position, that is the waist dart position, and that is 4 inches from point 1. And I'm going to mark that down. And that will serve as point 11. From point 11, we measure 14 centimeters downwards, and that will serve as our back dart length. So normally you tend to have 2 darts constructed at the back skirt, but for this video I'm going for 1 dart, and this dart is going to be 4 centimeters wide. Place my measuring tape on the line, measuring 2 centimeters on each side of the line. Once that is done, I will use my ruler to join all points together. At the end of that point, we mark that as point 12. Now that our back skirt is drafted, we move over to the front and draft our front skirt block. So from point 2, we measure 1/4 of our waist measurement plus 2.25 centimeters. If you're using inches, that is 0.98 inches. And once that is done, we mark that as point 13. From point 13, we measure 1.25 centimeters. And that will be our point 14. Like we did previously, we join point 14 to 2, point 14 to point 7 using our hip curve ruler. For our front dart position, we are going to measure 4 inches from point 2. And this position will be point 15. For the front dart length, we are going to measure from point 15, 9 centimeters downwards. And that is going to serve as our point 16. Once our dart line is drawn in, on each side of the line we measure 1 centimeter. Altogether, our dart is going to be 2 centimeters wide. And now our basic skirt block is drafted. All we need to do, this is totally optional, is to throw in the hemline. Just give it a little bit of curve like we always do. Once we are done with the hemline, all you need to do is to add in your grain lines and make sure you label your pattern. And once that is done, we need to get a fresh sheet of paper and trace off this pattern. After tracing off our pattern, you need to add in your seam allowance on all the side seams. And remember to place your front skirt on fold. And now we need to get our desired fabric, join them all together with our sewing machine, and this will be the final look. So thank you so much for joining in, and hope to see you on our next video. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting tutorials such as this, and please follow us on all our social media platforms. Bye for now.